Morning, guys. We are in the car, and this is not the normal. We're driving to go rescue a international, and we are driving it home. So stay tuned today. This will be very interesting. I don't want to spill all the beans yet, but we'll keep you updated as we go along. So we're going to pick up this truck, and I didn't tell you guys what it is yet, but I kind of have to, because I'm going to tell the backstory of what we know about it so far. What it is it's a 1977 International Harvester Loadstar, and this one has got some provenance, whatever that word is, provenance, you know, whatever. History. It's got history. It's a Sundance edition truck. Now, I was talking to a good friend of mine last night, and he is incredibly knowledgeable about the history of all types of these International Harvester vehicles. Like, he's my go-to encyclopedia guy when I want to know something. And I didn't tell him what I was buying, and I sent him a picture. And in the picture, there's no emblems or like that. It's just a picture of the truck. And the first thing he says is, he's like, "Oh, it's a Sundance Loadstar." And I was like, "How do you know that?" So he proceeds to tell me that these trucks, they were all painted the same. They all had this special interior, and most of them were sold as a cab and chassis. So you could put a flatbed on it, you could put a grain box on it, you could put a water tank on it, you could turn it into a tractor, put a fifth wheel plate, you know, whatever. But it was a pretty fancy paint job and fancy interior for a Loadstar. And this particular one has got a Caterpillar diesel motor in it too, which is also kind of long. Anyway, he told me that the majority of these Sundance Loadstars were sold in the Midwestern part of the United States, in the heart of farm country. And most of them are still there. And he said a lot of times, since it was such a fancy Loadstar, the farmer, the rancher, you know, if they put a water tank or a box or a flatbed or whatever they put on it, it was really the truck that they took to town, and they went to the parades, and they went to the schools, and it was the one that they would kind of show off because it was really fancy. So when I told them where this truck was from and what we presume we know about it, now we don't have any paperwork yet, but we've been told that this truck hauled race cars in Southern California back in the 70s and 80s, and then it was sold to a private guy who's had it, the guy we're getting it from, who's had it for quite some time, and he just hauls hot rods and stuff like that. So we're gonna get the line set ticket, the build sheet, and everything else, and find out what the story is in this truck, and we will tell you guys as soon as we know. When we left the house this morning, it was 18 or 20 degrees. It was warming up. It was supposed to be a decent day today. And now we're in California, and it's 75 degrees. So the air conditioning is on, the bugs are dying on the windshield, and we just saw guys riding Harleys in t-shirts. So apparently it's summer. I don't know. Alright guys, here it is, behind me. This quite possibly is the coolest truck I've ever bought in my life, and I'm not kidding. This is a 1977 International Harvester Loadstar 1750 Sundance Edition. You guys from the Midwest know what the Sundance Edition was. It was from the factory. It was a special paint job, special interior. A lot of times it was sold as a cab chassis, which this truck was.
But what makes this truck really cool, because all those trucks were 345, 392, the big 504, they were all gas, right? 5 speeds, gas. This truck has a Caterpillar diesel from the factory. Caterpillar. And it's a 6-speed with a 2-speed rear end. And on top of that, it's a ramp truck. It's a freaking ramp truck. Are you kidding me? So we got here late last night. It was too dark to film. We didn't film last night. Joe, the gentleman we got this truck from, is the second owner. Dick, who is the original owner, had this truck up until about 2015 or 2016. And this is original paint, original interior, and the ramp truck bed on the back has been on it since day one. Unreal. I mean, I'm so excited to put the very first International Scout pickup, travel-all, tractor, whatever, on the back of this and haul it and film it for you guys and be able to show you, so we can preserve, you know, the stories of these trucks and use them the way that were intended to be used, which is exactly what we're going to do with this. The whole reason I bought this truck is so that we can use it for what it was used for back in the day. Hauling race cars, hauling trucks, hauling rescue vehicles and barn finds and all that stuff like that. I can't wait to share it with you guys. It's gonna be awesome. So this is a tilt hood truck, as you guys may or may not know on these, on the big heavy duties. This is 1750, so this is a very heavy load capacity, 33,000 GVW truck. Carrito is Joe's last name, and Carrito Motorsports. Joe does drag racing, and he also, you know, vintage drag racing, and he also does sled pull, like truck pulls, with his 2 sons. So they hauled their race cars on this, and they hauled their sled pull trucks on this, so that's why he painted that. What's unique about that is the gal who's a friend of Joe's that painted all that logo, that's all hand painted. This was the last truck she ever painted. She was a pinstriper and a painter her whole life, and she painted this truck for him. It was the last truck, and she moved and retired to Florida and is not doing it anymore. So I'm all about preserving the history of vehicles and preserving the history of what people do. And I'm torn, as you guys can probably tell, of whether we put our logo on it or we leave that, because it was the last one that gal ever did. So we're going to leave it for now and see if the truck will just kind of talk to us and tell us what it wants to do. This truck was ordered as a cab chassis when it was new, and Dick, the gentleman that originally owned this truck, I don't know if he had the bed built or if he built the bed. We haven't talked to his wife yet to find out. I believe he had the bed built custom. And what's really cool is a couple things. Number one, it's got dual fuel tanks. So Dick used to haul tractors and equipment. He was an equipment repair guy, so he fixed old tractors for farmers. So a lot of times he was hauling old equipment on here. And most of that equipment was diesel. So this truck is diesel. There's a 50-gallon fuel tank right there for diesel, and there's another 50-gallon fuel tank on the other side. But the one on the other side has a, you know, standard gas pump end and a hose and a pump and stuff on it. So he would use that to fill up the equipment and stuff that he was hauling for people. But also, if he ever got low on his fuel here and he was in the middle of nowhere, you just take the hose, drape it over the top of the bed, boom, fill himself back up. Kind of cool, self-recovery, so to speak. The decking on this truck, this is really cool. Joe told us a story last night. This material here, this is, if you guys are familiar with it, this is dimple dye. That's what it's called when they do that, which you know, helps lighten it up, also adds traction and strength. And if you look closely, these pieces all interlock. There's a little flange here that goes in and interlocks to this flange. This material is a material that the military used to use to build landing strips in remote areas where there was, you know, dirt, sand, whatever, they needed traction. So this is military, airport, aircraft, landing strip steel. I don't think you can get any cooler than that. I mean, he told me that last night, and I was like, oh, that is so awesome. You can see the ramp bed. This is why I love this truck. And it's orange and white, which is near and dear to my heart because I grew up with the Dukes of Hazzard, so I can't help but think this is like a Dukes of Hazzard hauler, kind of, you know what I mean? That, it just brings back so many memories for me. And now we're going to start it.
6-speed, 2-speed rear end, Caterpillar diesel. It's just awesome. Make sure you guys like, tag, share, and follow, and help us continue to tell the stories of these trucks.